What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. In the show, we're doing the 2021 American Express PGA DFS picks. But first, Craig, a couple housekeeping things. We got our Abu Dhabi Championship preview out on YouTube, so go check that out. In that and in this video as well, in the description, I'll leave a link to the European Tour Fantasy League. Sign up before Wednesday, before the start of the European Tour event. We're going to have a private league there. Winner's going to take home a Grandstand Golf prize back.
Some sort of swag. We don't know yet what all is going to be involved, but you'll get something good.
You'll get something. And if the more subscribers we get, the better it's going to be. So subscribe, like, and share these videos with your golf friends. For the American Express PGA Sleepers coming out soon, right after this video. And then we will have a YouTube live show. We're moving to YouTube now. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we break down the entire field.
Yeah, we're going to do, it is before the European Tour lock, so we will discuss that a bit, but we'll definitely go through the whole PGA Tour field for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. So into the American Express, 2 courses. We have the Stadium for 3 rounds, the Nicklaus for 1 round. Pete Dye designed for the Stadium. Anything of note, Craig, of there between the 2 courses? Nicklaus usually plays a little bit easier, so for Showdown, perhaps stack that course.
Yeah, for sure, for Showdown. No, I think it's going to be a scoring. They're definitely scoring courses when you look at the previous years. It's desert golf. It's weather looks like it's going to be fairly stable. I think breaking down, just building the model, it looks like putting. Whoever, like, good putters do well here, and also approach players. So I think those are 2 things you definitely want to look at. But other than that, just
not just putters the week of the tournament. Everyone puts well when they win. It's leading in. Their putting stats are kind of trending up.
I'm not talking about people who putt well in this tournament. Obviously, those people do well. We're talking about as predictive stats. So coming into the week in previous years, the better putters, they scored better that week.
Yeah. Beautiful complex, La Quinta, California. Craig, I'm sure you know that's where the Bachelorette previous season was filmed, but that's just a fun fact for you.
I did not know that, but I'm sure my wife would have been able to let me know. Was that like the COVID one or the
COVID
one?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Of course, just a couple miles away. Or
I do remember her complaining that those guys really got ripped off because they didn't get to do all the cool trips. So.
Yeah, exactly. We digress. Let's go to our picks. My first pick, Patrick Cantlay, 11,100 DraftKings, 11,800 on FanDuel. After Rahm dropped out, he is first in both. I feel like Patrick Cantlay is locked in right now. We have that first at the Zozo, a T17 at the Masters, a T13 at the Century Tournament of Champions. All really solid results. He's just balanced and consistent. I don't necessarily know if he's going to win it, but he's not going to do you any harm. He's going to get you a ton of points. He's so consistent across every stroke scene category. So he's positive putting around the green, approach, off the tee for the past 6 months, for the past year, for the past 2 years. He's just super consistent. And the other thing I really like is, we know he's from California. I don't think that's a big deal this week. It's more desert golf. I think more the Las Vegas, Arizona connection.
He's a LA area guy.
He's in the LA area. But I am looking at Pete Dye courses, how they've done on Pete Dye courses. I think of course architects, he probably has the most unique, and people do well on his courses. So in Harbour Town, RBC Heritage, he's been 3rd, 7th, and 3rd. TPC Sawgrass, he has 2 top 25. So obviously does well on Pete Dye courses.
Yep, I like the play. I'm going to have him in my pool for sure, especially, with Rahm dropping out. I feel like he's somewhat the class of the field, but there is
it's
another...
it's a snoozy, like, first...
it's a very safe first play. Yeah. Like, there's a good chance that he does well, and his ownership will be somewhere in that, I would guess, 20 to 25% range. Just basically steady, classic Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, exactly.
But my next one is up in that range as well. Patrick Reed. I'm jumping on the Reed bandwagon this week. DraftKings, he is 10,200. Now, I did not do this after Rahm dropped out, so that's 5th with Rahm in, so 4th without him. And FanDuel, he's 11.5, so that's 4th, and that's with Rahm in. But he's in really good form. He's got 7 straight finishes of top 21, and he was 3rd twice over that span, so he is contending. And I think it's just a matter of time before he's the type of guy that does win tournaments when he's playing well. So I think it is just a matter of time until he pops and wins one. Number one player strokes gained in this field over the past 6 months. So, I mean,
strokes gained total.
Yeah. Can't really ask for a whole lot more than that in terms of, one of these guys at the top. You do want them to be playing well over the past half year. Course history, he does have a win in 2014. He does have a bit of a spotty course history outside of the win, but he has a course record here. So, I don't put a ton of weight into course history, but it's just a slight plus to me that he has won here before. And last thing, I was talking about putting. He is amongst top players. Most of these top players, they're the top players because of how awesome they are as ball strikers.
Yeah.
For the top players, he is one of the ones who's better at putting. Again, these are over the past 6 months. In this field, he's 10th in putting and 12th in short game. So a lot of those guys that you see up there in putting, they're not top guys. They're the reason they're on the PGA Tour is because of their putting, and they use that to make up for holes. He's a decent ball striker and an elite putter. So to me, that just it kind of checks the boxes of, I think, the type of guy who's going to do well this week.
I like Reed. I don't know how much ownership I'll have. I'll know by Wednesday night for our live show. I do feel like, though, with the stadium course, without the amateurs, it might be harder pins. It might be 3 rounds on the harder course. I feel like with those changes, Patrick Reed fits that. You will have to have around the greens and kind of a good short game to make up for a harder course setup.
Yeah.
My next pick, Siwoo Kim, 8,200 on DraftKings. He's 20th, 9,900 on FanDuel. He's 18th. I mean, kind of right on the average pricing for both. DraftKings, probably a little bit better deal there you're getting. I think it's kind of a few things really come together for Siwoo Kim right now. And the more I look into Siwoo Kim, the more I like him. I'm flirting with him for my one and done. I haven't quite.
They'd be out there. You're pretty chalky usually with your one and done picks.
I know I might go a little bit out there. So last 5 events, I think he is good form. 1 top 10, 3 top 25s, only 1 missed cut. Siwoo Kim can be a streaky player. We can get a lot of missed cuts with Siwoo Kim, but if he's on, he's on. He's 5th in the field in strokes gained tee to green over the past 6 months. And the Pete Dye history. He has that win at the Players Championship. I think it was 2017. He has a playoff loss at the RBC Heritage. So he's one of these like Pete Dye specialists. I think it's just all coming together for Siwoo Kim. I didn't
realize that was a thing. The Pete Dye specialists. Do they take a course on how to become a Pete Dye specialist?
Absolutely.
And
Siwoo Kim teaches that.
I definitely will be playing him in Showdown. I don't know for sure yet whether he'll make my player pool. I love his game. Wow. The thing that we have seen is, he's putting up great rounds, it seems like, on a weekly basis. It's just a matter for him of putting together the 4 rounds. So I think, I haven't made those hard cuts to get the, close the player pool down. So I'll have to wait until Wednesday night, and I'll let you know then whether or not he made my pool.
Fair.
My next one, this is a guy who we seem to be talking about every week. Russell Henley, 9,000 on DraftKings. He's 12th there. FanDuel, he is not on FanDuel. So
I saw that.
I did look, and he is in the tournament. So I don't know why he's not on FanDuel. But if you plan to play him, make sure that there isn't something that DraftKings and we are missing and is not yet reported. But
or if he comes in at 7,000, he's like that Brian Harman play a few weeks ago.
But from everything I know, he is playing. There's no reason that I can't figure out why FanDuel doesn't have him. We talk about him every week. His form, last 10 starts, 9 times in the top 30, 5 times tied for 11th or better. So he's playing really good golf. I was looking at it a bit further. I think he's probably playing the best golf of his career. He does have, a few years ago when I think he had a win or maybe more than 1 win. He was playing good golf then too, but I think he's actually playing better now. To me, it's a little bit like a Harris English situation where we saw Harris play really good for a while before he broke through and won.
It feels like it's coming.
It feels like it's coming with Russell Henley. So, again, last 6 months, I think he has tons of stat value. Strokes gained total, he's 5th in the field. Tee to green, 1st in the field. So Tee to green is our classic one. This one, it is, from what the data shows, putting does matter a bit more, but still, tee to green, if you're going to look at one thing, that's a pretty safe one to look at, first in the field.
Yeah.
He does have a poor course history. So again, to me, it's like, okay, that likely will keep his ownership. If he had a good course history, his ownership's going to be up. I do take a little bit off. Like, I would be plugging him in a lot more if he had a good course history, but I don't take enough off of that to make me not want to play him. I think if he had a poor course history and his game, like I was talking about approach, if he wasn't a good approach player, then, I'd be looking at a lot more seriously at whether I want to cut him from my pool. But I think he's got the type of game to compete here. I think it just hasn't happened for him in the past. So yeah, I'm going to plug him in.
It seems expensive, but it does remind me a little bit of English in the Tournament of Champions, or it seemed expensive there. But I mean, the form was so good. I had 55% ownership on Henley last week. I think that did pretty well. I think, of course, I'm going to be there. Like, it's kind of ride the hot hand until you're proven wrong. I don't know, because that price is a little bit high. It does seem steep, but I'm not sure I will have ownership. I just don't know how much. My last pick, Erik van Rooyen, 7,900 on DraftKings. He's 24th on FanDuel. He's 9,400. He's 28th. We talked a little bit about him on the pod. He was a stock down, I think, for Kevin, or was it for Kevin? I think I did a little bit more digging, and I think that's unfair. I don't think he's a stock down. I think there's an unfair kind of slump narrative going around. But if you look closely into his last 7 events, he has 1 top 10, 5 top 27 or better. I mean, of course, I go to the top 25, but he got 27th in one. Okay, so it's top 27 or better, 1 miscut, and then the withdrawal at the Masters. So battling injuries, he still has top 27 or better in 5 of the last 7 events, and he's priced at 24th. This is not a very strong field. This is a guy who's just around 50th in the world. I feel like it seems like, and I think his ownership will be low. So it's a bet on talent at potentially low ownership. I don't know what it will be, but I think it will be a little bit reduced. It just makes sense to me. So with the miscut last week at the Sony Open, he was still 3rd in the field in strokes gained approach at 1.8 per round. So I think it's just kind of a weird narrative that's been built with EVR, but I think he's playing good golf and really.
Yeah. Also, just on last week, he had one. It wasn't a good drive, but it hit the cart path and went out of bounds. So there's things like that where a miscut. There's a lot of things that you'll see in data that when you go back and you're like, oh, actually, that was a 2-shot swing. Whether that skipped out of bounds. I mean, obviously, it's not a good drive, but still,
I think he was 3 under, but he had 2 triples on his second round, and he had like 6 or 7 birdies. So.
Well, and that's one of the things that we talk about, I think, more so on Showdown typically than our week-long videos, is if you see someone making a lot of birdies, but they're making bogeys too, I have a lot of faith in them cleaning up their bogeys more than people who aren't making birdies going out there and all of a sudden making a lot of birdies. So, I think that works here with EVR.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, my last one here, bit of a boring one. Zach Johnson comes in at 7,900, 24th on DraftKings, 9,600, 24th on FanDuel. To me, it's just a pure value play. The last 6 months, he's 12th in the field in strokes gained total, gaining over a stroke around. Last 9 starts, he's got 3 top 10s and no miscuts. So to me, and that no miscuts, he had to work a little bit this past week to get under the get under 4 under there. To me, it's just ever since the Wyndham when he rallied to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs, he's really just been playing well for the last 4 or 5 months. The 2 things I spoke about, I think, are the most important this week: strokes gained putting, strokes gained approach. He's top 10 in both of those, and I don't think those are aberrations. Sometimes
and that's for how
those are
long?
6 months as well. So months, I don't think those. Sometimes you see putting and you're like, oh man, that's not sustainable. He's a good putter. He's a good approach player. So I think. I think he's a good fit for this course. You look at his course history; he does have a bit of a spotty history up and down. Quite a couple top 30, well, a couple finishes in the 20s, but then also a couple top 10s back in 2012 and 2014. This one in the past has been a weird format where they do, at one point it was a 5-round event, and it also was one of these ones where they would do sequential cuts over the different rounds. But I just think, to me, it's a pure value play. I think he's playing very well. And it's sort of, to me, also looks... You look at the EVR, like, I think at this point of their careers, EVR is a much more talented player than Zach Johnson.
Right.
And so it's sort of like, I think Zach Johnson is kind of playing up to his potential high level right now, whereas EVR is kind of slumping a bit, and we see them at the same price. And it's sort of, do you want to take the chance on the bounce back, or do you want to take the chance on the guy who continues to play at his higher level?
Yeah. Very, very interesting price range. I think this is probably where it's going to be win or loss this week. We got
the low 8s,
Zach
the
Johnson.
high 7s.
Cam Davis is right there. Gary Woodland is an interesting guy who's won in the desert. Is he still injured? A lot of interesting things. That'll be, I think, a big area this
and
week.
that's why when we talk about Siwoo Kim, I don't know, like, I don't know who I'm cutting in that area yet, and so that's where there's going to be a lot of tough decisions to make.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, watch the videos, like and comment. Let us know who your favorite play is for the Amex in 2021.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised. I think you pointed in the right direction, too. See you guys next time. Good luck this week.
Tricky.